Warriors around, don't get caught in the mosh pit. Fuel to the fire, ain't nobody can stop it. Trouble in my city, but you know I'm across it. Got a 40 on my hip and I'm liable to spark it. Throw down these hits, my click is indivisible. I aim, you duck, I squeeze, now you invisible. I'm not afraid of getting physical. All these different chemicals are fogging up my visuals. Bloods on my hands, got slugs on my gunners. Yo, we notorious, we ain't no runners. Bloods on my hands, got slugs on my gunners. Yo, we some warriors, they ain't called gunners. Bloods on my hands, got slugs on my gunners. Bloods on my hands, got slugs on my gunners. Put on my sweat, put on the beat, put on the map, put on my team. Take out every motherfucker in between, know what I mean? Better myself, better my aim, better my rep, better my name. Killing rappers on my hang, I'm by their chains for the fame. Never thought I would it, now I'm running. You don't wanna follow me, now I'm looking for.
What's going on? What's going on? Good evening. Good evening and welcome to another broadcast of Steve the Kidney Nurse. I am your host, Steve Belcher. Thank you for joining me, guys. Look, the show tonight is going to be a great educational moment. And let me tell you why. There's many patients, many kidney patients across the world that deal with issues with PTH. You're like, Steve, what's PTH? Well, I'm glad you asked. So PTH stands for parathyroid hormone. You know, and they check this, I'm not sure if it's each month or quarterly, meaning every 3 months. Okay? And you may have noticed they may came to you and say, Mr. So-and-so, your PTH is low or your PTH is high. And you're like, what's PTH? PTH stands for parathyroid hormone. And if you're on dialysis, you will recognize it as one of your routine lab tests. Or if you're going to start dialysis, this is going to be part of your routine lab test, checking your PTH numbers. Or your loved one, if you got a mom or dad that's getting ready to start. The PTH test is one of the important tests you want to make sure you keep check on. So, the parathyroid hormone is made by your parathyroid glands. On here, it's right behind the thyroid gland. As you can see, I'm talking to my YouTube guys. I want to welcome the TikTok family. I stand corrected. The TikTok family, thank you for joining. And let me bring a picture up. I think I may have a picture here that I can show you guys. As you can see, you got the parathyroid gland right behind the thyroid gland. Okay? So it's up here. And so this hormone is made by your parathyroid gland. These small glands, as I showed you, are located behind the thyroid gland in the neck. So the key purpose, this is important, the key purpose of the parathyroid gland is to keep the calcium and phosphorus in the blood at a constant normal level, because it's like a seesaw. If that parathyroid gland or if you secreting or whatever the case, if it's whacked, it's like a seesaw effect. Either your phosphorus is up or your calcium is down. Either your calcium is up or your phosphorus is down. What the parathyroid hormone do is keep these two levels balanced. Keep it at a constant normal level so it doesn't come out of whack. So if, for example, the blood calcium would become low, if your calcium would become low, the parathyroid gland would respond, the gland back in your neck will respond by secreting more PTH. This extra PTH then would pull the calcium from the bones, correcting the low blood level. So you see how this works? If your parathyroid gland is over secreting the hormone, that hormone is going to be in your blood, it's going to pour more calcium from the bones. And now you got all this calcium floating around and your bones are brittle. Again, for example, if your blood calcium would become low, the parathyroid gland would respond by secreting more PTH, the hormone, parathyroid hormone. This extra hormone, or PTH, then would pour calcium from your bones. That's why they give you the calcium pills at the end. and correcting the low blood calcium. It's correcting it now. But now your bones, how are you going to replace the calcium in your bones that was poured out? Especially if you got kidney disease. This give and take response, calcium goes down, the parathyroid gland secrete PTH. It corrects it. This works well until your kidneys begin to fail. And this is when the issues come in. This is when the issues come in. This is why we talk about taking your phosphorus binders. Watching how much phosphorus you eating. So let's look at this. Let's take a dive into this. When the kidneys fail, all right, TikTok, when the kidneys fail, there are several reasons why there is an increase in PTH. And it's common with kidney failure. So let me repeat that again. When your kidneys fail, there are several reasons why an increase in PTH is common with kidney failure. So let's look at this. As blood phosphorus level rises, as blood phosphorus, the phosphorus level rises, so do the PTH level. Second, the diseased kidney, when your kidneys are not working as they should, cannot activate vitamin D. And that's why we give you the vitamin D on the machine. Without activated vitamin D, which is one of the hormones that the kidney make, calcium cannot be absorbed from your intestines into your blood. You want me to repeat that? Again, there are several reasons why an increase in PTH is common with kidney failure. As blood phosphorus level rises, as the phosphorus level rise, meaning whatever food you eat that's high in phosphorus, so do the PTH levels. As the phosphorus goes up, the PTH level is going to go up. Second, your kidneys that have failed cannot make or activate vitamin D. And without that activated vitamin D, the calcium cannot be absorbed from your intestines into your blood. And so when the blood calcium level drops, this is another reason, when the blood calcium level drops, the parathyroids respond by producing more PTH or hormones. Another reason. Also, hyperparathyroidism, an enlargement of the glands, hyperparathyroidism, and an enlargement of the glands often develops when your kidneys fail. And then you got even more PTH is being produced. So, to sum that up, when you have kidney failure, there's a drop in the activated vitamin D that's not making it. Your calcium drops, and your parathyroid responds by shooting up the PTH, producing more. So what are the signs and symptoms of hyperparathyroidism, enlarged, overactive parathyroids? What are the signs and symptoms? You may have some kidney warriors watching this that's dealing with this ever since dialysis. High or low PTH levels, dealing with issues with their bones. So some signs and symptoms of hyper, which is overreactive, hyperparathyroidism, enlarged, overactive parathyroids. Excuse me. So 1, PTH levels become high. Now the goal is to keep the intact PTH, you may have heard these numbers, between 150 and 600. Also, bones weaken when you have enlarged, overactive parathyroids. Bones weaken. And in return, this may cause bone pain and fractures. One big thing that could happen, signs and symptoms of this, calcification of tissues and organs can occur throughout the body. The lungs, the heart, blood vessels, joints, and skin may be infected. You may be watching this now and this may be life. Calcification. You don't even know nothing about it. You find out, you go, or you decide to get on the transplant list after maybe 3-4 years, maybe 5 or 6. Finally say, okay, I'm gonna go take a shot and get on the list. You're happy, you're talking about it in the groups, letting people know. And then when you go for the evaluation, they start really getting down to the nitty gritty, checking you out. You find out you're ineligible because you had calcification around the heart. And you didn't know during all the years before you got on the list or tried to get on the list, you were having issues with your phosphorus and PTH. Not knowing behind the scenes that calcification was building up. See, this is where these education moments come into play. Because some patients, you roll right into dialysis, and when the dietitian come and they explain the stuff to you, you may miss the PTH. You may have a lot of stuff on your mind, especially if you just started dialysis life is still going on. You still have a family. You may still have responsibilities. Life is still moving. And you're still trying to ride that train of life and do dialysis. And you may miss this part of PTH and not know how important it is to keep your phosphorus in check. That's why we do these shows. So, again, what are the signs and symptoms of hyperparathyroidism, which is enlarged, overactive parathyroid, when it's just producing more hormone? As I said, the PTH levels become high. The goal is to keep that level between 150 and 600. Also, the bones can weaken because the calcium is getting poured out. And this may cause bone pain and easy fractures. In dialysis, seen a guy, he was about 6 foot back in the day when they was trying to get this calcium and phosphorus in check, PTH. Guy was 6 foot. Pretty much shrink down. Was in a wheelchair. Back in the 90s, it was in a wheelchair. He used to come, sometimes I had to use crutches because he couldn't keep his phosphorus in check. Wouldn't take the binders. Next thing you know, 1 minute he's on crutches. Then a couple years later, he's in a wheelchair, shrunk down. It looked like he shrunk. Almost like the bones collapsed or something. I was like, oh my God, man. So this is how serious this is. You may have some warriors that are diabetics that have issues with phosphorus and calcium. You see the calcium deposits coming out the skin. And like, I wonder what this is. Those are calcium deposits. Then you think about getting on the transplant list. 7, 6, 8 years later, I made up my mind. I want to do it. I want to pull the trigger. I want to get on the list. Next thing you go down there again, like I said, go through the evaluation, and you find out half of your arteries, or a lot of your arteries in your heart are calcified, and you didn't even know. And then that automatically disqualifies you from getting the transplant. So now you're spending the rest of your life on dialysis, and you now have to accept that. Also, calcification of tissues. You won't see it. It's happening on the inside. Calcification of tissues and organs can occur throughout the body. Your fingers get calcified and, man, they had to get amputated. The lungs, the heart, blood vessels, joints. And like I said, even the skin are impacted. So an increase in PTH can cause bone disease plus calcification of the tissues. I mean, like, Steve, what the hell? I just started dialysis, man. Or my mom or dad about to start dialysis, and this shit, man, is sounding real scary. Come on, man. Can these problems be avoided? The high levels of PTH or the bones weakening. You may have a parent or a loved one in their 50s or 60s, even 40s. And they're saying they had a stroke because of high blood pressure. Now they got kidney disease. Now they at increased risk for fall. And if their PTH is up and they got bones are weakened or brittle, and they had a stroke and they using a cane, they at risk for a fall. And what if they fall and they got brittle bones? It's likely they're going to break something or fracture. So this impacts a lot of people. And that's why you should keep your PTH between 150 and 600, whatever you have to do. And some people, they can't help it because they got an overreactive parathyroid gland. That's why they get them taken out. They get what's called a parathyroidectomy, which is the removal of your parathyroid glands. And they say they may put it down here. Hey, Steve, these problems, the calcification of the tissues, the joints, the organs, and even the skins. How do I avoid this if I just started? Or how do my parents, loved one, avoid this if they just started dialysis? Let's talk about that. One, keeping your phosphorus below 5.5 is one key way to decrease this problem. Keeping your phosphorus level in check is one of the key reasons or tips in keeping this in check. That's why we say when you eat, take your phosphorus binders or your binders with while you eat. As soon as you put that first bite in your mouth, put that pill in your mouth. Don't wait till after you eat or before you eat. As soon as you take that first bite, take the amount that is prescribed to you. Both diet, right? Also, not just the binders, you have to watch your diet. What are you eating? Are you eating foods that have high amounts of phosphorus in it? Are you eating foods with hidden additive phosphorus? Are you looking at the labels to see if these products may contain like tricalcium phosphate? So make sure you're looking at the ingredients if you're out there grocery shopping, if you really want to try to control your phosphorus intake. Really be mindful of this. You can do it. It's when you don't take the binders and you eat the foods that's high in phosphorus and you're not really being mindful of this is when you start to get in trouble. Medications with vitamin D can be given. Like I told you, at the clinic, Zemplar. Because your kidneys, they're not working no more. They're not making that hormone. They're not making the hormone. So where you gonna get the vitamin D from? That's a medicine. You see the nurses that come around, and you sitting there, and we're right at the venous line where they get the medicine. You looking over. Some people like, what you about to give me? About to give you the Zemplar that's ordered, the vitamin D. Also, a medication, a lot of warriors know this one, called Sensipar. That's that green pill now that they're giving you at the end of dialysis. Sensipar. And it works directly on the parathyroid to decrease. So it suppresses for the production of PTH. And this Sensipar is this. That green pill that they give you after treatment, or come to your chair and it's in the medicine cup and they sit it there right on the table, but I'll be right back. I need to go get you some water. And you got the calcium pill and you got the green pill, the Sensipar, and you take it. Yes, this is what this is for. And then you got some patients like, no, I ain't taking it. I don't want that. It messes with my stomach. It causes GI disturbance. Well, then we got to find something else that's not going to cause GI disturbance, because you mess around and if you don't take this, years to come, you may find yourself in a wheelchair or osteoporosis. So, can your PTH level ever be too low? So we've been talking about it being high, but can it be too low? And the answer is yes. The PTH level can be low. So if the PTH is less than 150, because remember I said the range, 150 to 600. But if the PTH below 150, this is known as adynamic bone disease or low bone turnover. Again, bone weakening and bone fractures are common with adynamic bone disease or low bone turnover. Okay? Also, low bone turnover may happen if the parathyroid glands become overly suppressed with vitamin D medication. So that's why they monitor the PTH levels, the calcium and phosphorus. You may be at a clinic and you see them drawing blood like every 2 weeks or something like that. Like, Steve, why they got the tubes? And you know how they look. You may see like these two tubes. Be like, damn, they just drew some blood last week. What is this blood for? Yeah, they checking your phosphorus, your calcium, and the PTH level. And when they check those levels, they come back, and the dietitian, she's looking at them, and she's making corrections. Like, this is how much Ziplar. Now they cutting back on that and giving the Sensipar or the calcium pill. That's why you may not see them come to your machine with the Ziplar, the syringe. But now you start seeing, like, you may have never gotten the orange pill or the Sensipar pill. Now all of a sudden, they come to you after dialysis with a medicine cup with these pills in it. And this is how they monitor your levels. Your level come back too low, they know something's going on. You got a suppression somewhere. Something's causing the suppression of the parathyroid. Or if it's high, now we got to figure out how are we going to suppress it to reduce the overproduction of the hormone. So again, a lot of patients, if you just started dialysis or you at dialysis and you always wonder, like, damn, man, y'all just drew my labs. Like, you come in, you're like, I ain't gonna never have no blood. Y'all drawing my labs. They doing this probably bi-monthly or yeah, during the month they check the calcium and phosphorus, PTH, see what's going on. Then at the end of the month, they draw a panel so they can see and compare from last month. So what's your role as a kidney patient or someone that deals with issues with your PTH or phosphorus? What's your role? One, you can monitor your lab values. Very important. Monitor your lab values, especially your calcium, your phosphorus, and your PTH. They all go hand in hand. And when your kidneys fail, now they're not secreting the activated vitamin D. So know those numbers, your calcium, phosphorus, and PTH. Know what your blood values are. Also, compare your lab values to your unit's recommended levels. Because you want to keep your phosphorus at 5.5 or less. Again, you want to keep your phosphorus level 5.5 or less. Your calcium at 10.2 or less. Again, calcium 10.2 or less. And the PTH level between 150 and 600. Now, the best way to do this, if you're not sure how to do this, is to work with your dialysis team, especially your dietitian. Some are very busy, some aren't. But you definitely need to be mindful if you don't want to be a person a victim of circumstances and get calcification, weakened bones. Soon as you find out one of those labs are off whack, you want to address it. Your phosphorus or your PTH. Don't let that go unnoticed and untreated, because it can have dire consequences in the long run. So with that being said, that's the end of that. Let me look at this. These got 2 comments from Facebook. Cheryl Taylor Oliver. Thank you, Cheryl, for watching. Peace and blessings. She say high PTH results in bone pain. Yes. High PTH can result in bone pain. Because look, what are the signs and symptoms of hyperparathyroidism, which is enlarged overreactive parathyroids? Again, the bones weaken. This may cause bone pain and fractures. You may be dealing with this right now watching, having this issue. What's that? A lot of patients having issues with their foot. Oh my God, I can't think of it. But you see it. They have to have a boot on. They could have fractured their foot or something. It's not healing right. Or their may be low. Now they got to get calcium gluconate. I'm telling you, I mean, again, when you get diagnosed with kidney disease, and when you find out, that's the time to be mindful and try to stop the progression. But when you kidneys fail and you cross over to dialysis, and even before your kidneys actually fail, you start to deal with some of these symptoms with your phosphorus, your calcium, and your PTH. And then once your kidneys completely fail and you continue, say, you're like, okay, I'm on dialysis. You be like, shit, I'm gonna eat whatever I want. I don't care. Because you got people like that. Be like, I don't care. I'm gonna eat what the hell I want to eat. And then if they don't take their binders. If you do that for like a year, year and a half, 2 years, not taking your binders, not doing this, phosphorus level always high, and you wondering why you itching, the next day, you know, you could be in a state, all right, everything be going swell. Cool, you got high PTH, your PTH level high, your phosphorus. Then one day, just out of the blue, maybe it's snowing or something, or some ice developed. You ain't thinking about nothing. Next thing you know, you going to dialysis or going out the door, and you going down the driveway, and you step on some black ice. Whoa! And you slip. Now you may have fractured your foot or your leg, maybe your arm. And now that may take some time to heal because you got a calcium issue. So this is how serious this is. It's not just dialysis you get on, oh, how much fluid did I take off? It's more than that. And if you don't have these numbers in sync or at a close homeostasis or imbalance, this could be detrimental in the long run, as I mentioned. If you had issues with overreaction of the parathyroid hormone, it can cause calcification of the tissues and organ. And your heart is an organ. And that's one of the main organs that they check when you go for transplant evaluation. And you go, and then you at home, and you get a letter in the mail out of the blue. You done been through the transplant process. You all happy. You telling everybody online in the Facebook group, whatever, that you done had your evaluation. And you never told them you had issues with phosphorus in the past years. You just say, oh, I'm going for a transplant. I'm on the list. Well, I went for evaluation and I'm waiting to hear back. Not telling you, the people in the group or whatever, about all the trouble you had with the phosphorus. But then you decided to try to turn it around after years of being non-compliant or whatever. And then next thing you know, you get this letter from the transplant center. You open it up. That's that bill in the mail. You know, they talk about that in Narcotics Anonymous or AA. When years of drinking or using drugs, then you finally get clean. And then something from the past or some issue comes up as a direct result of your alcohol or drug use. So for instance, if you drink alcohol for 20 years or whatever, now you decided to go clean, and then 5 years after you've been clean, you find out you got cirrhosis. Same thing with this. For say maybe 3 or 4 years, you've been doing what you want to do, not taking the binders or taking them wrong, eating foods that's high in phosphorus, colas and dairy products, all kind of stuff. You've been doing all the wrong things for 3 years and having the issues, high phosphorus up to 14, now it's back to 7, maybe 12. Got dry skin, you itching, and then all of a sudden you get an epiphany and want to turn everything around. So now you taking the binders, you're doing everything right. You're looking at the pre-packaging, the packages, and making sure, it don't have any added phos. They say, oh man, I'm doing great. My phosphorus 5.5. Damn, I'm getting a star. And then you decide to go, like, I think I'm going to try to get a transplant. Say, okay. You go, and as I say, you get that. You do all the tests, and you get that letter. And you open it up, and you're reading it. Dear, and it's like, unfortunately, due to your heart calcification, we are not able to list you on the transplant list. You reading this shit, you like, what does that mean? I can't never get on the transplant list? May start to hyperventilate, like, oh no, that means I got to be on dialysis for the rest of my life? Then you start in the groups. They said I can't get on the list because my heart is calcified. And then you talk to the doctor trying to figure out ways, can that be corrected? And then they say, unfortunately, no. And then surgeons say, this could have been avoided if you would have kept your phosphorus levels low, your PTH. So please, if you're watching this, and if you just started dialysis, your mom, your dad, your wife, or your husband, please make sure when they do the lab work, one, make sure that you get a copy of the labs. Make sure you get a copy of the lab. Because how would you know what's going on if you can't see the lab as well? So I had a question, what disqualifies a kidney patient to be on the list? From Camille, it's a lot of things, Camille. And I mean, I can just list a couple, but it's a lot. One is the calcification. Two, if you may have issues with your weight. Some places have criterias. Yeah, I was talking about PTH, Camille, high PTH levels. And I was mentioning calcification, which is the direct result of overproduction of PTH, which can cause calcification of tissues and organs throughout the body. So there's a lot of things that can disqualify you from getting the transplant. You just have to look and see what are the criteria of that center. Because one center may say you need a BMI of this, and another one may say, no, you have this BMI, we'll transplant you. But as I was saying, if you just started dialysis, your loved one, your wife, your husband, your mom, your dad, your uncle, and you're taking care of them, make sure you get a copy of the lab work. It happens every month. And when you start dialysis, you go to the dietitian and say, hey, look, when you go over the lab work, I want a copy as well. And then if they don't want to explain it to you, come back here. And we'll do a show on lab work. The labs they draw, what are the ranges, and what they're monitoring. So we have, thank you, PTH, for commenting on YouTube. She said weights weight, that's me currently trying to gain weight. And that's where they tell you, if you're trying to gain weight to get on the transplant list, that's where they say, okay, if you're having that issue, that's where the protein comes in and trying to increase your meals. They may say, okay, start eating the food that you may like, but reduce the amount you like to eat. So for instance, let's say PTs, you like scrambled eggs. Like I used to like you say I like 3 scrambled eggs or an omelet. Well, make sure that omelet you put vegetables in that are kidney friendly. Use a egg, maybe substitute or eggs, and then maybe cut the omelet in half, and not eat the whole thing, but eat a portion. So you definitely have to increase your calories, and you can do it. I know it's easier said than done because you may not have an appetite. You may not have an appetite. So you got to find ways to increase your appetite. And sometimes you may have to eat foods that you like that really they may say shy away from, but it's better to eat something than nothing. Oatmeal is better than no meal. Camille says my phosphorus is at 7 and all labs and BMI are good. We got to get that phosphorus down. And you can do it. You're almost there. You're almost there. I'm talking about Camille that's commenting from YouTube. She's saying her phosphorus is at 7 and all other labs and BMI is great. So to watch, go back and look at what do you eat that may have some hidden phosphorus in it. And I talked about that yesterday. I had the paper and I showed the stuff that had hidden phosphorus in it and how to look for it. You may need to increase maybe your binder. Wait a minute. Hold up. You're welcome, PTH. She said, thank you for these tips. Camille says, I know, taking more binders now. Okay, that's awesome. That's awesome. Oh, okay, that was the culprit. Camille said she was eating chocolate donuts. Okay, that can possibly do it too. Oh, daily. Hey, I ain't mad at you. You know what I'm saying? Enjoy what you like. You only live once. But see, when you do that, know what you're doing, okay? Like if you know, like Camille, she know what was her culprit that caused her that caused her phosphorus level to go to 7. Chocolate donuts. The dairy in the chocolate. Yeah, she says she's human. Again, guys, you are human. And when you're dealing with this disease, but you have to look at it, really mindful. Because it's, for a lot of people, they just can't, like a switch. 1 minute, you're so used to eating this for all these years. And then the next thing you know, you got to stop eating this. You can't eat that. And as they say, some things are in moderation. There's probably kidney warriors that are still eating bananas, but they're not eating 3 or 4 bananas or 2 or banana. They're probably having a half a banana. Or if they like something that has potassium in it, instead of eating the whole thing, they just eating a portion of it. So you got to be creative. But when you do be creative with this stuff, you got to be mindful of what you're doing. Because you don't want to do something that's going to be detrimental to your health, that may cause you to have more phosphorus in your blood. So with that being said, I'm about to close out on YouTube and Facebook. I'd like to thank Camille Pentuso, PTH, and Camille for coming on and engaging and commenting through. And was one other person, Darashia Stevenson and Cheryl Taylor Oliver. Thank you guys for commenting from Facebook and YouTube. It really helps with the engagement. And also other people who may not be here right now to get this information, they can see it on the replay and see what other kidney warriors deal with this and respond. Hey, Stephen Graham, thank you for showing up. 2 Steves. 2 Steves in the pod. Thank you, Stephen, for it. That's how I spell my name, too. But thanks, Stephen, for coming on through Facebook. Peace and blessings to you. Camille says, see, just like I said, I didn't know. Camille says, yep, I eat a half a banana every other day. We can still enjoy food. You see, TikTok, that's what I'm saying. You guys may even have your own creative ideas and able to eat the same foods you were eating before you had kidney disease. Still enjoy those foods and still have your numbers in range. So Camille says she eats a half a banana every other day. Okay, and she says we can still enjoy food. She also says, thanks and God bless you, Steve. Appreciate your time and help. Thank you. I really appreciate your time coming on and listening to me. Absolutely. Got work in the morning. I've been off for the last 3 days since Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Going back to the grind tomorrow. But yeah, this has been a great session. I hope you guys got something out of what is PTH. I hope now when you go to your unit and when you're looking at the labs, you want to say, what's my PTH? Or what's my phosphorus? You know, and use some of the tips that I've mentioned and avoiding these problems. Like 1, keeping your phosphorus below 5.5. Right? Both diet and phosphate binders can help with this. Also, medications with vitamin D can be given. You know, most common is the Zemplar, is a medicine that they use in the dialysis clinic. Then they also have a medication called Sensipar. Okay? Maybe those green pills, as I showed at the dialysis. You got the nurse coming over there. You know what I'm talking about. Coming over there with my stethoscope on. Here you go, Mr. Smith. Here go the pill. It may be an orange one, the calcium in there, and the green one. You're like, oh, man. Give it to me. Now I give you a cup of water. That's what that's for, those pills. so you don't have bone disease or severe bone disease. So with that being said, thank you guys on YouTube and Facebook. I appreciate you. Thanks for watching. God bless you. And have a great rest of the evening wherever you're at watching this. Peace and blessings to you. If you got dialysis tomorrow, have a safe treatment. And still, guys, we still got the pandemic. So stay safe, okay? Peace and blessings to you guys. I'm out. Peace.
Warriors around, don't get caught in the mosh pit. Fuel to the fire, ain't nobody can stop it. Trouble in my city, but you know I'm across it. Got a 40 on my hip and I'm liable to spark it. Throw down these hits, my click is indivisible. I aim, you duck, I squeeze, now you invisible. I'm not afraid of getting physical. All these different chemicals are fogging up my visuals. Bloods on my hands, got slugs on my gunners. Yo, we notorious, we ain't no runners. Bloods on my hands, got slugs on my gunners. Yo, we some warriors, they ain't called gunners. Bloods on my hands, got slugs on my gunners. Bloods on my hands, got slugs on my gunners. Put on my sweat, put on the beat, put on the map, put on my team. Take out every motherfucker in between. Know what I mean? Better myself, better my aim, better my rep, better my name. Killing rappers on my hang, I'm by their chains for the fame. Never thought I would, and now I'm running. You don't wanna follow me, now I'm looking for